All right, so meeting called to order. So we've got the review of the meeting minutes from the 5th of December. Like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
I second the motion.
Okay. Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, nobody else. So we're good. Okay. Next agenda item is citizens petitions and comments. Received any citizens petitions or comments? No. Okay. Next agenda item is new correspondence and communications. So 1 second. This is Dan, where if the men's club or the women's group have something they'd like to say, we'll be able to.
I can tell you from the men's club, I think two main things. Generally speaking, I think the feeling is fairly positive. We definitely are interested in when we can get specific dates around some of the course improvement work that's going to happen. So for example, we know, I believe the first thing in the docket is the refurbishing of hole number 4. And everyone's just kind of curious to know, when is that likely to start and how long is it likely to take? So that's one question that the men's club had. And Todd, I'm going to guess you might need Eric here to actually answer that. Is that a fair statement, or?
No, I mean, I spoke with him, and of course, this is all dependent upon when the contractor can get on property.
Yep.
But the way that it looks like, and what they've been telling Eric, is that early spring is what they're looking at. And so I asked Eric, I said, well, what does that mean? And he says, well, hopefully beginning mid-March.
Okay.
So, and I also, well, I'll let you, we spoke about the other comment that was voiced at the meeting, but I'll let you go ahead and do that. But I spoke to him as well about the other issue that you were curious about.
Go ahead, Dan, because we might have the same question.
Well, Todd, are you referring to divot replacement and seed dispensers, or am I forgetting something?
What I was, no, that's not good. That is certainly doable. That,
Okay.
but what was discussed regarding the areas of fescue, which really aren't fescue.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Really is not fescue.
Yep.
Before we go to that, can I just finish up? So we had a beginning time frame of the beginning to the middle of March. What is the expected duration of the work on the 4th hole?
I didn't ask that specifically, but from what I gather from the past work that's been done, it should be done within a 2+ week time frame. And then there's the laying of sod, and the sod has to knit, so you're talking about another maybe week and a half. So the short of it is that for for a good part of the time, number 4, early in the spring, will have to be skipped.
Okay,
And there just really is not any way around that.
Fully skipped, or possibility of like a temporary green that makes like a 100-yard hole or something to.
Well, he we really didn't even discuss that, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think that probably, I mean, we have done that in the past, like when number 10 was being renovated,
Yep.
we did cut about 75 yards from the green. We did cut a hole, and he painted the area which marked out what should be considered as the green, because it was once you're on the green, max 2 putt. So I'm sure that can be done, Dan.
Okay.
Not to put words in Eric's mouth, but I'm confident. I mean, being that he's done that before, so.
Right. I mean,
Well,
I have a feeling that might be preferred, but I don't know if you think the women's club has any different opinions on that, Margaret.
I don't know that they have any opinion on that. I think that traversing from the 3rd green to the 5th tee is going to be complicated enough. You
Yeah.
know, and given that the gin season opens April 15th, anything that can be done to make sure everything is in place by April 15th would be the most important thing to me. Because you don't want to be
There's always
skipping
a
goals once
provision.
handicaps are open.
Well, well, in that instance, then the USGA would recommend that you just take par plus any strokes that you're allotted per your handicap. So it's
Okay.
not really an issue that way.
But still, it would be nice to be, once we're back into the full season, to be able to play the full course.
No, of
Yeah,
course.
Dan, I don't know that anybody would have an opinion one way or another.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if the men's club will either. I can certainly check that, Todd, and let you know our thoughts there. That's minimal work if everyone's big on wanting that temporary hole, I think.
Yeah, sure. Yep, sure. And so to the last point that was discussed quite a bit at the meeting, regarding the areas of the fescue, Eric said that he nodded and he said, "I already have purchased the chemicals."
Wow.
He says, "I already have them." So he had planned for it, and he intends to do that. And I was and when I spoke with Eric, I said, and I agree with the guys, and also Jess was there voicing the same opinion, that that if it cannot be treated, then it should not be grown out that way, because it is totally unplayable.
Or be marked as a penalty area, in which case you'd have to maintain the markings.
Or Margaret, I mean, for me personally, opinion, or cut it to rough height. Cut it to rough height. I mean, that under, you guys know this.
Yeah.
The snarly undergrowth is just, not only can't you find your ball, but it's unplayable.
Yep.
If you do find it.
That's why I would do if you insist on having it grown, a penalty area would be the other option.
Especially
Yeah.
being the anniversary of the golf course, though, if they could make it proper fescue, I think that just does so much for the course, appearance wise, and playability and all the rest of it. That'd be, if these chemicals truly work,
Right.
that's the holy grail. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No. See, personally, I would not like to have a penalty area demarked within, for that reason. Either cut it or treat it, one or the other. That's my opinion. And I've discussed this with Eric too, so it's not any mystery to.
Okay.
to Eric how I feel, and he agrees.
I'm comfortable with that. My only other question would be when would he anticipate putting the chemicals down, and is there like a rule of thumb on how long they take so we can see what that fescue really looks like?
Well, there's a specific application of the chemical. I mean, I think it's like pre-emergence. You have to make an application, and then I think there are other applications that have to do. I mean, that chemical, like I mentioned to the meeting.
Yep.
The chemical is not cheap, but it's very specific. So whatever is prescribed by that chemical, that's what Eric is going to have his guys do.
Sounds great to me.
But I think it's multiple applications. I think it's hit before things grow, and then it's hit again. And I think there might be a third application. I'm not quite sure because I didn't really get into the weeds about that, so to speak. With Eric.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
And we're talking all areas on the golf course, right? Not just specific ones, like for example, starting on 2, 3, 5, 6.
Margaret, my understanding is that the areas like in particular, the area between 14 and 18 and 14 and 13 in parts,
Mm-hmm.
and between 6 and 7, almost to the green on 7, that they're already cutting back on left on 5. But my understanding is that he's wanting to tame those areas.
The front of 15 or the areas around 15 as well. And then to the left of 16.
Well, do you know, personally, I don't know, I think it would be it would be a good thing to get the ladies club's
Oh, it's not just the
opinion
ladies.
about.
I mean, the men too, if they hit it short or duff it off of 15, they're not finding their ball. The men, if they hit the ball left on 16, are not finding their ball.
No, well, I understand that, but where the ladies tee box is on 15, you have to immediately get it over that fescue, and so that's a different thing than the guys up top duffing it down into that area. I personally am in favor of cutting that back there. I don't think it enhances the play of that hole. I think it's a detriment.
Especially since it's no longer just fescue. I think because he's lost those areas as well to the weeds or whatever else it is. I mean, 10 years ago, that was fine because it was a nice fescue, but it is no longer just fescue.
No, you're right. Yep. True.
So it's the same problem. Same thing on the left of 16.
Well, when Eric comes back, he'll ask me to tell him what happened at the Gab, and
Okay.
Before he reads the minutes, and I'll tell him about that. And
I do agree with
see what he thinks.
I do agree with Margaret's sense, though, aside from it's different for the guys and the women, of course, but just the general appearance of the course has such a nicer feel to it when all the fescue is proper. That's my 2 cents, but
well, yeah, no, well, there's no question, Dan.
Yeah,
I mean, given, yeah, if you're going to have the fescue, then it should be fescue. If you can't do fescue, then either make an application on it or just cut it, because you can't have that stuff with the snarly undergrowth.
Oh, okay.
So the men's club had 2 other things that we wanted to mention, and one was around getting some sort of cabinet filled with the portable divot repair mix so that walkers could take a jug, hook it on the side of their push cart, and be able to fill their divots with seed and sand. So that was the one item, and the other item had to do with a volunteer day that we were going to call a divot day, where any members of the men club that wanted to could walk the course, some late afternoon, and just with buckets of sand and fill as many divots as we could. We thought maybe it made sense to do that right possibly before the Connecticut Senior Open, just as a way for us to volunteer to help make the course look nicer. And I know that there were some concerns around what the union might say about us doing that.
Well, when that was proposed some time ago, when there was a shop steward that when that was floated, the idea of a group of members each adopting a hole for that purpose, the shop steward at the time did not favor that, and so that's why it didn't fly.
Okay.
Was because the union had an issue. Now, I don't know if that shop steward is no longer with the town. He retired. So I don't know if things have changed that way. We certainly can float the idea.
I will tell you what the guys told me is they thought the complaint last time it was proposed was because they were proposing things like minor manicuring work with some of the sand traps and stuff like that. And their hope was if they devoted the effort purely to replacing divots, that might appease everybody. But I honestly didn't know who the right person was to make that decision or ask the question of, but I think it's a good idea.
Well, so Eric certainly is a point person for that.
Okay.
And so the question can only be asked. Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you that for the last several years, the union has had no problems with my ranger staff filling divots anywhere on the golf course. So so they don't feel very strongly about that with ranger staff. So we'll see what happens, but
Okay.
certainly can ask the question. And the other thing about the bottles, we've talked about that before, and there's not a big outlay of money for that, and it's a no-brainer that we can do that. Certainly. Now, my guys, my ranger staff, Eric prepares a divot mix, and my guys just about daily go down and fill a couple of 5-gallon buckets of the divot mix, and they make sure that on the golf carts, the divot buckets are
Yep.
full.
Yep.
So it would be nothing for them to go ahead and if we have a rack with the divot mix, that my guys go ahead and just top off the divot mix in the bottles.
Love it.
So I think that's totally doable, and it's not a lot of money.
Awesome. That sounds good
Yeah,
to me.
that'd be great.
Yeah. And we got enough guys that play regularly that are walkers, having that ability for the walker to replace divots properly, I think would be great.
Sure. Yep.
Those were the only main items that the men's club had to really complain about at this stage that impacts this setting. Margaret, do you guys have anything?
Yeah, no, there was a board meeting of the women's group as well. And it looks like the primary thing that came out of it was that, Todd, they delivered the proposed calendar for 2023 to you. And that people are enjoying having the course open with this unbelievable weather that we've been having, except for Saturday apparently, and then and,
Right.
and have been taking full advantage of being able to play. So folks are fairly happy. And other than that, I think it's just in line with everything else that's been said. It would be the same thing, that similar topics to what the men's club brought up, and then just wanting to know, the other one would be if the plan is still to move forward with creating a new forward tee on the second hole.
Yeah, I can't speak to that.
Okay. So that would be the gist of that. Any other things, Dan, pop into your head?
Now I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. There's nothing else that impacts this meeting, so I think we're good.
Okay. All right, next agenda item is reports. So the first being the golf course report.
Right. So I'm assuming that the both of you had an opportunity to look over the revenue numbers for January 23. The big difference between this month and last year month was the weather. The prior year had 11 course closures with 7 on the weekend, as opposed to our 6 closures with 2 on the weekend. So yeah, that seemed to be the difference between the two, and it was a $12,000 ish difference. So yeah, we're 31K fiscal year to date above what last year was, and last year was the all-time record, by the way.
Wow.
So we're doing well.
So I may have lied a little bit because an idea was brought up to me. Margaret, I don't know if anybody's ever mentioned this to you or not. And I don't know the feasibility of this, but we probably need someone with the town of Groton to be able to make a comment here. So, and consider the source, it was Joe Crocker that gave this idea, because I guess this is what they do at Norwich, is they bundled the men's fee / women's fee into the annual membership price. So what that means is we currently have somewhere around 350 members, but only probably 110 are actually in the men's club. If we had it that by joining the course, you automatically join the men's club, it significantly increases the funds that we have available for men's club events, prize payouts, all the rest of it, probably going to get us much greater participation in our tournaments. People are going to have to pay, rather if they're paying $1,600, now their membership is going to be $1,670. The challenge is, how do you get the whatever financial maneuvering needs to happen between the town and Shenny Men's Club and Shenny Women's Club to get all the club piece of those fees transitioned back to the men's or women's club. Is that feasible? People, I don't know, Todd or Margaret, if you have an idea, do you think people are going to complain if their membership goes up 60 or 70 bucks, but it automatically puts them in the men or women's club?
Well, I think, well, Dan, I mean, I appreciate the sentiment, but a majority of our members don't have any interest in playing anything on the weekends. They are weekday members or senior members or economy members or junior members. They're not going to be playing on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
And So, I mean, so I think that that would be, I mean, certainly we can have further discussion about it.
No, you bring up a great point, though. When it was mentioned, it was Crocker talking to me and Ben and Steve, and we never even thought about the fact that the number of weekday only or junior members that are there. Never even.
And for the women's club, the majority of our members are actually weekday only members. So
Okay.
the women, yeah, 3/4 of them don't play on weekend.
No, we never even never even crossed our minds, but that makes a lot of sense. It does. Okay. I think it's fair to consider that shut down for now.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I think. Do we also, Todd, did we also get the December report? So not just the January one? I'm sorry,
Yeah, Margaret, I might have neglected to send the December report.
okay.
I'll do that
But-
tomorrow.
But we did, I think, Mark, am I wrong in remembering, didn't we better by a few $1,000s
Yeah, I'm
the
pulling it up
previous
right now.
December?
'22 December. All right. Yes, yeah, actually, we had a really good month. December, well, that says 21. Wait a minute. Oh. It looks like monthly revenue for December was 52, and the previous year was 31. That's right. So we had a good December also.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Next one is the marketing report, if there's anything there.
Yeah, I have no report for this time.
Okay. And then the goals and objectives.
Yeah, if you look at the goals, most of them are tied into the playing season. Now, I know people are playing now, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
spring through the fall. So we'll be gearing up for different promotions to try to reach some of the objectives under each of these goals.
So do we have a summary of the 2022 goals and objectives and how those were met? Partially met, whatever.
I think we talked about some of those when we were talking about the 23 goals.
Yeah.
But I did not do a summary.
Okay.
It was just a discussion when we were looking at what were realistic for 2023 based on what we saw for 2022.
Okay. Yeah, so it would be nice to see at the end of the year how we actually did against some of these goals, just to see, did we meet our objectives, not meet our
Yes.
objectives?
Some of them are a little tricky because we don't, that information comes from the golfer satisfaction survey,
Right, right.
which
No, that,
we only do every other year.
Mhm.
So some of these, we wouldn't be able to tell. Um,
But most of it, I mean, diversifying player demographics, you'd be able to tell.
Yep, increasing the number of women's season pass holders. Increase the cumulative number. Yeah, you're right. Some of those we can, others are a little bit trickier.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. But some of the environmental objectives could be certainly measured.
Mhm.
I like the challenging perceptions of golf, and then maintaining that sound financial position, making sure that we do maintain that 60-day operating expense fund balance. So really, it's just the first one that we would be tough to do this particular year, but so something to look forward to in December.
Yeah, the family tees, that could be a little bit tricky too, because that's.
You have
I
no,
don't think.
you have
we
no way
don't-
of knowing who's playing them or who's not playing them.
Right, yeah, although
So
that
maybe
is,
that shouldn't be something that we measure.
yeah,
If we
I
have
mean,
no way of measuring it.
well, we can measure it every other year. Because it is a question on the survey. If they're
Right.
aware of it and if they use it.
Okay.
If you're so inclined, if you're the third item under the diversify player demographics, we have one of the men's club members who's going to be taking over running of the men's club Facebook page and Instagram posts and some social media stuff. If you wanted to put a link to the Shenny Men's Club Facebook page on the Town of Groton website, I don't think there's any harm in people seeing the tournament postings and stuff we put out there. He's a trusted individual. It's not going to put anything inappropriate.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that because we ran into an issue once in a previous situation, not having anything to do with the men's club, but another person was running a Facebook page linked to us and got himself in a little bit of trouble.
The gentleman we picked for this is someone we trust enough that I'm not too worried about him
Yeah,
putting
well,
anything stupid out there, but
we trusted the guy that was in charge of the other one.
all right.
But I know, the women's club has put information up on the Shennecoshlet page, and I think Marie would say that was a real bonus, and we'd love to work with the men's club to get some information up on the Shenny page also.
Okay, that would be really good.
Yeah. Is the two of you that I would connect this guy to? Mark and Clarence, or like how would I get him to?
Yeah, you'd connect them with me.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
It might be a little bit different because the men's and ladies clubs are recognized by the golf course and by the town as approved or whatever entities of the course and indirectly of the town. The town reviews any changes and makes final approval to any kind of changes to bylaws or whatever of the men's and ladies clubs. Technically, there was I don't know, Dan, if you were with the club at the time, but the men wanted to allow outsiders the chance to play in our majors, including the club championship, and the town pretty well shot that down because the town felt it was important. I felt it was important that that the club champion be representative of the men's club or of the club in general.
Yeah, that was before my time, but I certainly agree with that decision. Absolutely.
Right. So
We're thinking
anyway,
more like if we can help promote things like the Connecticut Senior Open on our Facebook page, or when we're sending out an Instagram post to remind people to sign up for the President's Club and put an extra tagline in there about, remember it's only 35 or 45 bucks to play, whatever the greens fees are going to want to be in. Like little things like that might not hurt, right?
Right. And also the men's club is a member of the E Club with the CSGA, right?
Okay. Yep.
Right. And so there can be common posting to that, and so maybe the town can, just spitballing about it, but maybe it may be appropriate that we can work something out to where it certainly would be good for the men's club, and indirectly it would be good for the golf course for people that visit our site to know that there's a vibrant men's and ladies clubs that are affiliated with the course.
Agreed.
Okay. Any other comments on the goals and objectives? Excellent. Do we have to vote these in for you, Mark, or are they good just for information?
Yeah, this is just informational.
Okay, cool. Okay, next agenda item, 2023 proposed golf rates.
And Margaret, that's also going to include a review of the regulations to see if there's any changes. We usually do the two together when we go to the council.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
So I didn't have it on the agenda, but that's,
Okay.
when we do the rules, we do the when we do the rates, we do the regulations.
Right.
I like proposal 1 as outlined.
Give it back to there. Where is it? I also agree with proposal 1.
And can you explain why? Because you're going to have to defend that decision Thursday night to the council, to the commission.
I forgot. So go ahead, Dan, and then I'll add in.
Yeah, my 2 cents on it are the way this economy is with inflation and all the rest of it. For the people that are truly committed to Shinnecock, which are the members, I think to give them a year without an increase is the right thing to do. And when you look at the daily rate increase, the people that aren't members, it's a very modest increase. And it still puts Shenny well within the competitive value, I would say significantly more competitive when you consider the quality of the golf course to all the other courses in the area. And it's not an extreme request to ask them to pay a little bit more. In fact, most people I talk to would tell you that Shenny's too inexpensive right now, given the course that you get for your daily play members. So.
Yep, and I would concur with that last statement. That's a comment that I hear often from people who come from outside of Groton or from other places to play, that this course is probably undervalued or and that really, given that it's the premier course in the area, we should reflect that, and it could very easily accommodate the higher rates.
Especially when you factor in the wintertime weather we've had this year.
Yes.
And you get people driving down from Boston, who a course like this in Boston is over $100.
Exactly.
Their heads are blown when Todd tells them what they owe. So.
Yep, so I would agree. So Mark, using that logic, both of those things, inflation to hold, given the period of inflation, to hold committed members of the course, hold their rates constant this year, I think is fair. And then also, and also for the costs, and I have to imagine the costs and expenses of running the course are also going up. And so, and given the true value of the course, I actually think we could probably go a lot higher, but I get that we're not going to do that. It's a modest increase that reflects the value of the course relative to the other courses in the market.
Right.
I have-
The
I have a
top rack
comment.
rate is a,
I have
Go
a
ahead.
comment, if I may.
Yes.
I just happened to notice over the period of time, the total change in the senior rates has been 18%. And it's a lot less on the regular regular resident rates over that same period of time. Perhaps the seniors could be given a little bit of a break.
So the seniors and the adult economy have both gone at that same about rate. The family has also gone at about that same rate. And isn't that total change from 2011 to now?
Yeah, that's a change over 11 years.
Right. So over 11 years, I'd have to go back and take a look historically. But the senior rate has only, it was held constant for 5 years, 6 years. And has only had one increase of 3.59. Basically, it's cut the other way around. In 11 years, it's only gone up $170, so about $10 a year.
Yeah, the difference has been that there was a 1 year on the was it the weekend resident rate? There was a 10% drop.
Yeah, that's pretty much the difference
Yeah,
to bring it back in line. But their
bring
rate,
it.
so Clarence, I think over that long period of time, it's also starting with a smaller denominator, so any minor increase will go up. The other minor reason I would consider not kind of decreasing it or giving much of a break, the break at most would be $30. I wouldn't take it back much beyond. We wouldn't take it back much beyond what it was last year. Or, yeah, basically it's gonna be $1,100. Is it when we look at the number of rounds that get played on the course, the folks who are adult economy and senior have much greater opportunity to play on the course than those who are weekend players.
Well, yeah. And that's why weekends are more in demand always and cost more money. Play on weekends. The fact that the seniors can play during a week is a plus. Otherwise, no one would be playing on the course.
But for those of us who
Well,
work,
that's,
yeah,
that's unknowable.
yeah,
But I can tell you that if we took a sample of for instance, our senior membership, we have seniors that play over 140 rounds a year. This golf course is utilized very well for our senior citizen members, and that's terrific. That's terrific. I love that. But I think if you also asked, after you asked how many rounds did you get, if you asked how is the perceived value, they'll admit that we have some seniors that come in and say, yeah, I netted down my per round fee to $7 a round. And that's great. That's great. I love that. But I am not in favor of just targeting that particular category of member for any kind of discount. When we did that adjustment for the adult regulars, it was because the math that the people do generally is a membership is worthwhile if you can at least play 30 rounds, because after 30 rounds or 33 rounds, I think is what it was, then your membership starts paying you. And the seniors are all there. They're way beyond there. So respectfully, I just think I would not be in favor of singling out the senior or economy for any kind of discount.
Right. I mean, there are exceptions. I mean, the group that I play with is pretty much an exception because generally we don't play shenny in the summer at all, or just a couple of times, and then we get rained out. But during the winter we play a lot more. Myself, generally about twice a week. And that's what I play in the summer. I play twice a week, but we're playing all different courses. And we're playing at Pequot on Thursdays because Pequot is just a lot cheaper. And our group of seniors, even though they're mainly from Groton Long Point and Mumford Cove, somehow gravitate towards cheaper. It's also easy to get time set up, whereas shenny, it's difficult to get times set up in the summer. So,
well, your group does a pre-book with us, and we always get your group when they want to come and play. But
yes, you do, and except it rains this year. I think we got rained out almost every time this year. Bad luck.
Normally I have good control over the weather, but
Yeah,
this year has been terrible. I just have not had the control that I usually do with the weather.
Todd sells some great umbrellas in that pro shop too. So.
yeah.
We're getting them in. We're getting them in.
I've got one. It works.
No, I mean, we just play all over. A lot of places in Rhode Island, a few places, up to Hebron, Portland, yeah, even up to Hartford, Windsor. Um, but it's just one day a week. We travel all over, and Thursdays has been just Pequot, which I really don't like, but we're stuck with it for now.
So, this
But
discussion is
anyway,
going to be
the point I
extended
was
on to,
making was with our memberships, those of us who have memberships at Shenny, we really don't play in the summer, which is your peak time, and you're probably just as happy that we're not playing in the summer.
well, I mean, the seniors, they play typically in the morning, Monday through Thursday. Friday is a usual tournament day. And no, I mean, we love to see the guys out there. That's the whole purpose of a senior and economy membership is. We love to see that. The thing about it is regarding the rates, proposal one. So yeah, so there's going to be discussion about the reason for keeping the season pass rates the same. We are cheaper than our competition. That's fine with me if that's what is decided. But also, I mean, what do you all think about the elimination of the after 12? Because we figured that there's no need for an after 12 discount, because we get the regular rate all day long up until about 3 o'clock when league play starts. So why are we offering an arbitrary, which is, well, it wasn't arbitrary before COVID. We typically saw a slack time between 12 and 3. And so that was the reason for the after 12 discount. But there's no need for that right now.
Correct.
So I'm more interested in what your opinions are about the after 12 elimination. And the twilight basically is a 9-hole rate.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a published 9-hole rate after 3, that kind of wraps it into it. So I think that's redundant. Yeah, I think it's redundant. But also going down to the winter rates, the golf committee, Mark, Eric, and myself, we wanted to eliminate that because we felt that that we should set the rate for the winter. It's going to be a discount rate anyway, and it's going to be a published discount. But some years it may be different than other years. So by publishing a winter rate really doesn't give us much flexibility to go ahead and do what is really, really appropriate for the market and for the weather and for the course, and what the market is bearing. So that's why we're suggesting that. But also lastly, the golf cart, the senior, we've given really forever, and we're the only course, as far as I know. Norwich eliminated their senior offering for a cart fee, I think 2 years ago. Anyway, senior member before 9 Monday through Friday, we gave a discount, and so So we're suggesting an elimination of that. And so that's going to be, and staff, we went back and forth about that. Ultimately, we decided to go ahead and suggest an elimination of that rate. But it's something that you all should look at and say, yeah, not, no. But our effort in eliminating these rates was to streamline our rate structure because it was just really cumbersome. So just thoughts about that.
So I am fine with everything here that's been eliminated. I think it makes sense to, because if you start at 2 o'clock, you can easily get 18 holes in every day. So I think that's a reasonable thing to do. And I agree with simplifying the rate structure. The one that just now I'm seeing it is that we're not increasing the tournament rates, and it feels like that may be also a target, even bringing it up to $50 should be a target for some sort of an increase, 40 or 50 on the weekends, 45 on the weekdays. Because I think that, I mean, those are, again, supply and demand. There's a demand there, and I think folks will pay that. That would be the only thing I see. I have, my personal opinion is, yeah, absolutely right thing to do to simplify the rate structure.
So certainly, I mean, we did go back and forth about the tournament rate. Yeah, we don't require any minimums in the pro shop, any minimums in food, any minimums in food and beverage. We do require that if you do anything with food and beverage, it's got to be done through the par 4.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, totally open to any adjustment to the tournament rate structure. We're just going back and forth about it.
Mm-hmm. So that's
But if
my,
that's something that you think is appropriate, then
well, I'm gonna
that
let
certainly can
Dan
be.
comment here.
I'm not an expert on golf course rates, but as you guys have said, just the simplification of this rate sheet makes a ton of sense. And to Margaret's point, I think you can probably increase the tournament rates a little bit and people aren't really going to notice it. And if that benefits the course a little, then why the heck not? I mean, like if we're literally taking that weekend rate from 48 to 50, are people going to complain about an extra $2?
No, they won't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, might as well squeeze it a little bit higher now when you can. That's my perspective on it. But I mean, I've thought about this forever. Everything at this course is cheaper than it could be. It really is. So, but that's part of the reason why it's such a hidden gem.
Yeah, and the golfer satisfaction survey kind of backs up what you just said, Dan, is, one of the questions we ask, why do you play at Shinnecossett? And I think the value of the course is, pretty sure that's the number one reason that people give. So I think that supports what you and Margaret are saying.
So perhaps the weekday tournament rate, and you're taking away a Friday where most other courses have general play on a Friday. But I would increase that maybe to 45 and then 50 on the weekend, just because you're going with round numbers here. Most everywhere.
Right. And the reality of it is Friday is the tournament day to have. We have, I think, 2 events that decide to book on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so Friday really is a day that, but I mean, yeah, so So if you chose to approve that proposal and but with a change to the tournament rate to 50 and 45,
Mhm.
then I'll print that up and yeah,
Okay.
Sounds
that can
good to me.
be that can be proposed.
I
Mhm.
think that's great.
I think that would be really
Mark,
nice.
what do you think about that?
About updating the sheet, the rate sheet.
Yeah, with that change. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think, what we've done in the past is shown the previous year and the proposed changes for the new year, just so that
Mhm.
people can kind of see the differences.
Yeah, so it would be taking the 2022 column and the 2023 proposal 1 columns,
Yes,
making the 2 minor modifications, and I think
Right.
that would be, I think we'd have a nice rate structure for 2023.
yeah, so I'll probably use the same format and just take out proposal 2, those columns.
Yep. Okay. Here we go. So I'd like to make a motion to, I think I have to do this twice. I'd like to make a motion to accept proposal 1 for the 2023 rates with the amendment of the weekday tournament rate going to $45 and the weekend tournament rate going to $50.
I second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Clarence?
Hmm. Looking at these. Weekday. Weekday. Wait a minute. So. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong sheet, so I can't even comment.
It's the one with the blue and the green on it.
Yeah. Ah. Okay. I'm on my phone, so it's difficult. Keep getting the wrong. I don't think I really have a comment.
Okay. So at this point, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So that's part 1. Part 2, we have to do the rules and regulations, right?
Yeah,
Just want to make sure that these changes are accounted for. So I'm okay with the rules and regulations. And with the change, you just collapse the date.
Are there, was there? I thought that there was language added last year about dogs. I don't know, I may be getting my rules and regulations mixed up.
I don't know that we did anything about dogs.
Well, I thought we added some language saying that if it was a companion dog, or maybe I'm,
No, you must have done that somewhere else.
okay.
Yeah, that's section 4, item M. No
Oh,
pets
yeah,
are
there
allowed
it
on the
is.
golf
Okay.
course.
Probably
all
practice
right.
areas.
All right,
I don't think we added that last year. I think that had been there.
no, I'm pretty sure we added that service animals
Okay.
last year. All right,
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're right, Mark.
yeah.
I don't
Okay.
remember that. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just couldn't find it. I was starting to panic that I sent the wrong edition of rules and regulations.
So I can bring my cats on the course. I declare them service animals.
You do have to have the card saying that it is a companion
I can do
animal.
that. Okay.
A service kitty.
Yeah. All right, so, oh, I did note, holidays, we have to add Juneteenth,
Yes.
so that I made a note to add that.
Okay.
And no other changes then?
So it's just the Juneteenth one, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll make a motion to accept the Shinnecock Golf Course rules and regulations as presented with an amendment to add Juneteenth as a holiday. It's essentially what
Second the motion.
Okay. Further discussion? None. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No one. Motion carries.
I did want to update everybody really quickly. Eric, Todd, and myself met with the library staff a few weeks ago to look at the display case that's at the library and talked about putting a display celebrating the 125th anniversary of the golf course, and they were open to that. They were actually going to do a little bit of research to see if we could figure out the day or at least the month that the golf course opened. So if they're able to track that down, we might be able to time putting up the display some time around the actual anniversary date. And so I think Eric was going to pull some of his goodies that he's got out, and at some point during this year, we're going to set up a display in the library.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and then I also next week have a phone call with the graphic designer that we've used for other logos. I've already sent her the old Shinnecock image, and we're going to talk about what we might be able to do just as kind of a special for this year.
Excellent.
I love it.
So do I. That's awesome.
Also, I spoke with Jim Streeters. Jim is the town historian, and Mark, I didn't share with you yet, but he said absolutely he'll have some things that he'll be able to give so we can
Okay.
display in the library. He says, I have many photos. I don't know what that means, but he says I have many photos.
He has many photos. He
That's-
manages to pull things out all the time
That's
on all
terrific.
sorts of topics.
Good.
Mm.
Excellent. Sorry, just writing some notes. Okay. Excellent. I think that will be good. So on Thursday, we meet with the Recreation Board, the Board of Rec, right?
Yeah, the Parks and Rec Commission. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Parks and Rec Commission can come up with it.
And we'll bump you up to first on the agenda so that we
Okay.
can get you guys in and out as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Is that remote or in person?
Remote.
Okay.
Mm.
That works. And then the next meeting date?
March 3rd.
Right.
No,
No, April.
April 3rd. I'm sorry. Yeah, April 3rd.
Dan, you want to make an emotion to adjourn?
Yeah, one quick question. This
Okay.
Parks and Rec meeting, am I expected to attend that?
You're the lead for that meeting. I think it would be helpful to, if you could participate. Yeah, hopefully Marie's available and
What time is it?
7 o'clock
Okay.
Thursday night, and I think Lisa will be sending you a Zoom invitation, or maybe she already did. I think it actually was for both.
Was it?
Was it for
No.
both or no? Okay, then Lisa Hilton will be sending one out either Wednesday or Thursday during the day.
Okay.
Yeah, she usually sends it out the day of.
Right.
I can make it.
Terrific. Thank you.
Now, thank you, guys.
Gonna get a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Oh, I already did that, right?
Oh.
I don't know.
Motion to
I
go feed
second
Margaret
it. We're out.
Cat.
You can edit that from.
Good
the-
night.
Night.
Have a
Right.
good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.